Yeah. Woo! Yeah. From the San Fernando Valley to
Bruce.
Downtown Los Angeles.
Man,
You know?
Wow.
The
The quarantine dream is still alive.
I'm kind of getting used to this in not the worst possible way. It's like,
I know.
At least I know we can count on this. I see you a couple. I mean, we do this just for anybody who's curious. We actually do this when we're not doing VIBs. We'll call up and go like, let's get a little Zoom thing going. Do you want to have them in? And
We
then
do
we'll
our
have a
little
drink
Zoom
or two
parties.
and laugh and play some music. Yeah.
I think this is our 6th one, right?
I think it is. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, man.
nice.
It's good.
Nice.
So you got some candles going back. You got some sconces.
I am ensconced in my studio.
You're upgrading, man.
Yeah, every day, yeah, man. I'm trying to do new things, getting the lighting, get the new webcam going on, get the ring light, which you cannot see, doing little magical overhead stuff, candles. Got some string lights coming. They're not here yet, but I'm going to figure out how to integrate them into the whole thing.
Are you drinking lots of water because your skin looks amazing?
You know what? It's the webcam. It's a special webcam sexy filter.
It's working, son.
You know what?
What?
I'm not drinking enough water, but what I am drinking, wait for it. Woo!
Oh, they didn't have any large bottles?
Hey. So this is La Fin du Monde, which for all you French speakers, it means the end of the world.
Yeah, man.
And this is from, I think you just told me about this place. It's Quebec, right?
I think it's from Quebec. I don't think it's French.
I think it's
Belgian.
Quebec.
I think it's Canadian. Yeah, okay. Confirmed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It's a Belgian triple.
Yeah. You get triple high.
No joke. Yeah.
You know what they call it the end of the world? The end of the world, because if you have 3 of those, it'll definitely be the end of your,
Your
freedom.
sober world.
Yeah. Your sober world as you knew it.
Yeah.
That's
right.
I have to, I keep checking myself whether I should be mixing this up, but I cannot get away from at least having one round of the Russian River Brewing Company product. God, it's so good. It's in Northern California. And so this is an ale-aged Cabernet Sauvignon barrels with black currants. It sounds fancy, and it's kind of fancy, man. It's ridiculously good. It looks like
wow.
It clocks in at 10%, so it's like chugging a couple glasses of wine. It's lovely.
Sobriety shall be elusive.
Yes.
This evening, I see. So wait, it's an ale. What is it?
It's an ale.
It's an ale. Okay.
Aged in Cabernet Sauvignon barrels.
Ale, yeah. All right.
Curing what ails me.
Yeah. That's right, man.
Hey, man. So what's the keyboard rig you got behind you? You've got just a couple things. What are those?
Well, over to this side is a more vintage section of the rig of the studio collection. So that's actually a Fender Rhodes suitcase, 73 key, but it was also made in 1973. So it's a 73 Fender Rhodes from 1973.
Yeah.
The suitcase, meaning that it's attached to speakers. So it has a built-in speakers which you can set to do tremolo,
Right.
Classic, Stevie Wonder, Steely Dan, come on, all the stuff, great stuff in the 70s. On top of it is a Mini Moog.
Yep.
It's not an original Mini Moog, it's a reissue.
Right.
But
What kind of
incredible.
what kind of sounds would people recognize?
Oh, Stevie Wonder synth bass, like Boogie On, Reggae Woman, Inner Visions, Living for the City, all those just barrel fat bass sounds, Again, very 70s centric, which I find myself returning to all the time. And then over here, this is just a Nord keyboard, which is sort of an all-purpose. It has the drawbars for organ, a good workhorse for gigging, I would say.
Yeah.
There's lots of other ones that aren't in the frame, but we'll save them for another day.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Cool, man. What else is going on downtown Los Angeles? I won't give away your address because you don't need that kind of attention. But what's going on? Is it sort of ghosty down there?
Man, it's ghost town. Just
that's good.
It is good. I mean, one of the big reasons I moved here though is there's so much going on and I can walk everywhere.
Yeah.
There's so many great little restaurants and bars around here. And speaking of beer, there's a German and sausage and beer place called Wurstkuche which
Oh,
is to die for. They have that Bitburger on tap.
Oh man.
Oh my God. A
Oh,
classic
man.
German Pilsner on tap that's fantastic. And any kind of sausage you would ever want.
Damn.
We got that there. It's just very walkable. Little Tokyo for great sushi is just down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good area.
As an LA native, like, you know, when I was a young lad in my 20s, downtown was no destination, you know, unless you wanted to get like, you know, your head beat in, or just, it was just, there was nothing down there. People go there to work in their offices, and then at 5 p.m. ghost town,
Yep.
and it was just a dangerous, there was no culture whatsoever. And I think once Staples Center went in there, and that was a big deal.
Disney.
And really,
Yeah.
the Disney
Yep.
concert hall. So,
Yep.
but it's a great place now, finally.
Yeah. No, it is. It is. This area's expanded a lot. It was kind of, you know, so soon after moving here when it all shut down. I was a little, you know, it was a little bit of a buzzkill.
Yeah.
But you know, it'll get back going again, and it's you know, it's for good reason.
It
you know,
will.
we gotta.
It will.
So man, what's going on there, man? Holding the fort in Woodland Hills.
It's great. It's the weather, man. It's just incredibly beautiful. It's just great. You know?
Yeah.
A little warmer than where you are, but I mean, I wake up every day and it's just like, wow, it's just perfect. Like, you know, before it gets blazingly hot, it's just really nice. I've got a couple little birds' nests outside of my studio. I've got some plants mounted on the wall, and there's this little tiny bird's nest with 3 little eggs in it. So I fried those up this morning. They were great. No, I didn't.
Nice.
No, I didn't. But every time I walk out of my studio, there's a little bird's nest right there. I get to check on the little egg.
What was the mom like dive bombing you at all?
No,
Or?
it's so sad because every time I walk in and out of the door, she's like splits, like out of a panic, you know, like just out of the nest. And I wish I wasn't freaking her out, but I have no way to get it out of my studio.
Yeah, you
But
gotta-
you know, she's not dive bombing, but she's definitely not appreciating my presence. But
So
when they
and you were,
hatch,
and I know you, yeah. I know you've been killing it in the yard too, man. You've been like
Yes.
out there. We were on the phone the other day, and I heard that weed whacker on overdrive, man. You were just like crushing some weeds and hedges.
it is like creating textures in my studio, and then manicuring textures in my yard. That's been my flow. It's great.
Wow.
I love
wow.
it. Every time we come off the road, I pull to my house and I go like, you know, I love my garden and everything, but like, man, doesn't he see it? Doesn't he see what I'm seeing? But I'm always so burnt. It's like I don't do it. So now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take
That's
responsibility
great.
for it. It's great.
You got the
man.
time. You got the
great.
time to do it, man.
It's great.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's great. It's great.
You know what? I'm
Yes.
feeling like it
Yes.
might be time to bring
Yeah.
someone special in.
Yeah, I do.
Someone
think so.
very special. Okay, we're really psyched about this guest. We've had some fantastic guests. This week is certainly no exception. Ladies and gentlemen, the drummer extraordinaire and our friend from the band Styx, Todd Sucherman.
Yeah,
Welcome.
bring him back. Come on.
Hello.
Who knew, man?
Hello,
He's
my
in.
friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler, what's up, man? Oh my
How are you?
God! Wow.
How's
I
it
didn't know
going,
you-
dude?
That's an impressive backdrop, bro.
Man.
It's definitely signifies a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm full. I mean, if Buddy Rich came back from the dead and said, "I want you to have my 1971 Slingerlands," I'd be like, thanks, but I can't.
I can't find it.
Wow, man.
You got a
But
pink
that's like
shell
a-
there.
It's a really cool backdrop, though. It's like I love the, you know, just with the yellow-ish, you know, the frames and the shelving with all it just looks great with the lights. I love it, man. What a cool, like, that's for a drummer. You should be coming from that space. That's amazing. That's great.
Well, you know, if I were to psychoanalyze myself, you know, I grew up in Chicago, and there were 2 old famous drum shops on Wabash Avenue, just a couple doors down from each other, and it was like Pepsi and Coke, you know, between these.
Oh,
Yeah.
You had Frank's Drum Shop and you had Drums Limited, and they were both in these old buildings where, you know, you walk in and it was like a David Lynch movie with like a little guy with a cap that drove the elevator.
Yeah.
oh I love it.
Wow.
I love it.
You'd go up and the elevator doors would open and it would just be floor to ceiling drums, and it was like the scene in Willy Wonka where they walk in for the first time and they see the waterfalls and everything.
Yeah.
It took your breath away. So
Wow.
Yeah.
you know, if I were to psychoanalyze myself, I think I try to create that childhood feeling of going to those shops for my father every time I walk in here. And if I'm not inspired to do something in here, kill me,
Right.
because
Yeah.
Right.
nothing's
Yeah.
going to do it.
Right.
Man, so do you is there a space? Do you track drums in there too, or do you record right in there?
Mm-hmm.
Are you on a phone or a laptop?
Right now,
Yeah,
I'm on a laptop.
you're on a laptop. I was gonna say I was hoping to just see it.
Oh, well, here.
Maybe if you could, can you tilt it and we can see where? Yeah, here we go.
That's the main kit that's set up, ready to go at all times. That's a Pearl Masterworks. There's the snare wall. Over here's my father's last kit and my first. I learned to play on this
Oh, man.
1969 Slingerland.
Wow.
And then in the far corner, the Cantaloupe Monstrosity, the 1978 Premier Concert Time kit.
Oh my God, dude. That's crazy.
Oh my God, man! And as far as mics, do you just sort of like? Is it just kind of, it's just whatever you move them around, whatever? Like it's just.
Yeah,
obviously.
these are all set up, ready to go. I don't know how my camera work is doing here, but
Yeah, it's good.
mic on every drum, everything's ready to go. 3 overheads, 2 hats. It's fully functioning.
Awesome.
If
Wow,
I
that's
only
great,
knew,
man.
if I only knew how to run that stuff, I'd be in business.
Nice.
Yeah.
So of course you have your live-in engineer, right? You got somebody.
Well, I used to.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I always used an engineer, and since I've been in Austin, this guy named J.R. Taylor, who lives 10 minutes away, but he's got a wife and 5 kids, and we're all sort of quarantined. But I always employed an engineer so he could worry about this, and I could worry about that.
Yeah, man.
You know what? There's
Yep.
nothing like there's something about that old school model. I mean, there's a lot about that old school model that's lost these days, right? Because we're all doing it ourselves and everything. But real engineers, and just that separation, just be able to focus on the music. Don't worry about, oh, Jesus Christ, is that one mic close enough, or is it at the right angle and you're tripping about, just like let him deal with that.
Yeah.
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 Well, also, every time you turn on the rig, there's a new download for something. And so
Yeah.
we have to have that. And then now that's not talking to something else. So now we got to figure
Oh.
out.
Oh yeah.
That's the type of thing. You remember the beginning of SCTV in the 80s? All
Yeah.
the TV sets would be going out the window.
Yeah.
That would be me if left to my own accord eventually. Because I'm just not a great troubleshooter.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
yeah.
I have no patience for that, man. I want to be moving forward.
It's a whole
Does it
thing,
work?
man.
Yes, if you do this, it works. Why isn't it working? It says it.
Right.
Dude, it's like,
Oh,
man. It's a brave new world we're in, man. It's just like everyone's on their own little satellite little studio and doing it,
Yeah.
and but that's great, man, that you actually have somebody come over and help you record. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
that's going to be, part of my how I spent my summer story, was learning to become a reluctant engineer, because
Right.
I've missed out on things by not being able to do this. I mean, if you offered me $1 million to record one single snare drum hit for you,
Couldn't happen.
no, I lost.
Oh man.
I'd be like, well, can I record it on this? Is that cool?
Not a bad idea.
Well, let's just say, all right, this is a good segue. Well, all that attention to just playing drums, right, clearly has paid off, right? You're doing pretty well. How long have you been in Styx now?
Well, I'm on the road with them 24 years, but I first recorded with them 25 years ago.
Wow.
So,
24 year. Wow. Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I think I brought this up when we were touring together a few years ago, but I distinctly remember doing a session, probably 25 years ago or 24 and a half years ago, for a gentleman it was a commercial, and for people who don't know, like the commercial, jingles and commercials Chicago's like ground zero for all that stuff, and a lot of guys from Chicago were coming out to LA or to New York and setting up offices and doing music. This is like 25 years ago. Gentleman by the name of PJ Hankey, and great guy, Chicago dude, Midwestern. He's like, salt of the earth, great guy. And I went into a session, and the guy who just played drums, I was coming to play guitar, and it was this guy. He's like, "Oh, hey, this is Todd. Oh, nice to meet you, man. Yeah, we're not gonna be seeing Todd anymore because he's going to go on the road. He's joining Styx." I was like, "Wow, man, this guy's joining Styx." And then I didn't see you for like 20 years.
Well, I saw you another time. I saw you at Wade Hubbard's house for a session.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
You were leaving, and I was coming in, so that was sort of like, hey, how you doing? Hey, goodbye, and then
Thank you. You're right. Another Chicago guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So man, that was just.
Wow,
but I
man.
so remember that this guy is like going from doing a session like a normal person, then going on being a road guy, which is not a normal way to live. So
Right.
you look good, man. You've held up well.
Well, thank you. Likewise. Well, that's the thing. I mean, drummers normally keep in shape right here. It's always the belly. The dinner sits right there. Arms and legs are getting a great workout, but the belly's just going.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you stick to the gin, maybe, and not this stuff, you're probably doing better off because we're on the beer, and that stuff, as we know, the belly.
I have to plug my cocktail here too. Tonight's
Yeah.
we have a Monkey 47, which is from the Black Forest in Germany, made with 47 botanicals, indigenous only to the Black Forest. It is the Rolls Royce of gins. It is coming in at 47%. And the
Wow.
mixture for that would be the Fever Tree refreshingly light tonic water. Less calories, lets all the
Yeah.
gin come through. That's what's happening
Wow.
here tonight and most nights.
Oh, that's lovely, man. That's lovely. What does that bottle run? Like, what's a bottle that size run?
This is the baby monkey. This is
Yeah.
the tiny one, but I normally get the 750. The 750 is normally between $75 and $90, depending on where you get it.
Right.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right on.
What do you?
Hey, man.
Prize fight.
Hey, so I want to say before we got another surprise coming,
Yeah, for you.
but before we for you, but before we move on to that, I want to speaking of drumming, I want to hear about your record because I saw a couple posts. Didn't you just release an album?
I did.
So tell us about it.
Well, it's kind of nuts how it all came about. I mean, I assumed that, like most people, I would probably end up doing some sort of drum-heavy, drum-centric jazz fusion instrumental project of sorts. But I just played on a couple instrumental records, including the Antoine Fafard Borromean Odyssey, which was some of the most difficult and challenging music that I've ever been presented with. And an old buddy of mine, J.K. Harrison from the old days, had been cajoling me for a long time about doing a record. And I always blew him off, thinking, gee, that's cute that you think that I can do this, but thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
But I finally relented, and we got together and we wrote a couple songs really quickly. And it was one of these things that kind of scared me. And I went, something's kind of happening here. And I decided just to sort of get out of my own way and see what materialized. And the fact that I was intrigued and enticed with this process, and I was also terrified because I've always been comfortable singing in a group situation and singing with Styx. All I have to do is not wreck it,
Yeah, right.
Screw it up. It's going to be fine. But to be singing lead felt very much like the cliche dream that you have when you're, where you're naked in front of the classroom type of thing, in your underwear or whatever.
Nightmare. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't until I played it to, what I was doing to a couple close friends who've known me for decades, and started singing. And they looked at me like, "That's you." And the response was so positive. I'm sitting there squirming every second. I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
there's no way this is going to ever happen. I hate this. And the response from those who I played it to was just so overwhelming. I thought, well, why not?
Yeah.
The fact that it terrified me, I thought that's where I need to be, not doing something safe and cozy and some drum record like,
Right.
drum stuff.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Drum stuff. I kind of right now I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you could do that you could kind of do that in your sleep, right? I mean, it's just like you got all the technique and you got the chops and you're like, you come from that world. So it pushed you outside of your.
But I have to feel like I have something to say in
Yeah.
in that genre at that time. And like I said, I just did the Antoine Fafard record, which was, a mammoth mountain to climb for me musically. It was really, really hard. No two bars in the same time signature
Wow.
stuff. And Gary Husband was playing keys on it. So
Oh yeah. Yep.
it was heavy. That itch had been scratched, and I thought, let's see what happens with this. So I didn't know that I could really do it. I didn't know that I was really going to go through with it. And I wanted to have a collection of songs that I could stand behind and put my name on it and go, well, no music's for everyone, but I know that's good. That's good. You can't say that sucks. It's good. You might not like it, but it's good.
Love
That's
it,
all I
man.
wanted
Well,
to do.
congrats, man. And those are just words to live by, man. Step outside of your comfort zone. If it's scaring you, don't run away from it. Embrace it. You know, that's awesome.
It'll keep coming around until you face it anyway. So.
Run.
Exactly.
Run towards the danger.
So what's it called? What's it called, Todd?
It's called Last Flight Home.
Last Flight Home.
Okay.
Excellent, man. So listen, I think we have a little clip of just. There's so much of you on the internet. It's like if someone wants to know what you do, it's not hard to find out. There's like oodles of really great stuff. You from behind the kid and in front, blah blah blah. But I think we have a little something. Wow.
Yes.
Dude.
Yeah, man.
That is so incredible.
That
brings me back.
Yeah, that felt nice to see. It's been a couple months. I forgot what I play there.
Yeah. So I mean that is so amazing. I love the angle and I love the mix because you can hear the song, of course. Like, isn't it good to be in a band that has killer songs? But also, you mentioned Buddy Rich earlier, just off the cuff. But I like the one thing watching that, you can really hear your feel. Like sometimes you hear a band, you like the drums. It's like they're obviously great, but you can't really feel the specific feel of what you're doing. And there, you could just feel your pocket, and you're so authoritative and relaxed at the same time. So it's very Buddy Richian what I just was watching for me. Like, you know, I mean, just with the relaxed, total authority, rocking so hard, but not look like you're trying too hard. Awesome.
Well,
gotta love the traditional grip too.
Yeah.
Man. Traditional, love it.
That's a beautiful compliment. Thank you very much. Yes, right here.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Karate chop. Yeah, I mean, I try to be very relaxed up here and in through the body when I play, and I think that helps add to adding some force to the drums from sort of a more Zen perspective and pulling a sound out of the drums than necessarily playing, swinging from the rafters and playing into the drums and creating just a sort of a sound pressure sound. I want to pull sound out of the drums and into the microphones.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to really listen. Every night is different. You have to really listen and hear how the drums are performing every time you play them, and you have to adjust to make sure you're pulling the sound out at that moment, right?
Yeah. And then there's some nights where things just sound kind of crazy. It's a weird night. It's a weird room, and you just you have to be a professional and trust that it's going to be cool out there.
Right.
You know, it might not be the sweetest night you've ever had, but there's always another night the next night.
Right. That's a really we're getting some good segues here, because that really ties into what's about to go down right now.
Yeah.
Because as a musician, it's really important to hear yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
When we're up on stage, we got to be able to hear ourselves, and we want to hear ourselves well. All right, something about to drop in. What's going to happen? Boom! We got a guest. We got a guest coming in right now.
Todd, you might know this guy. His name is Evan.
Oh!
See how we did that? What's up,
Hello.
Evan?
Look at that.
How are you guys? Hey!
Yo, man, that's your monitor engineer, so that's where I was going. Hear yourself. There he is.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Monitor.
Surprise!
So,
I thought with the beer thing, there was a whole tie in there, and what could be more natural than that?
I
and
know.
it's perfect.
I'll tell you, I've been sitting here waiting. Like, do you guys remember Rocky IV when Draw goes down there before the Apollo Creed fight and it's not that weird music? That's what I've been feeling like for the past few minutes. Like, what am I getting into? I don't see James Brown here anywhere.
I thought I was attracted to Todd's backdrop, but I'm sorry. What's going on here?
Dude.
What's going on behind you is like crazy.
Well, I figured it was only appropriate to be in the brewery, right? So,
so before we even get started, it's time because I've been waiting for you to come on. I had a couple of So, man, I'm going to go. I've procured, thanks to Evan, was so generous. Evan lives about like 5 miles from my house, which has benefited me very well. He got me some of the beers he has brewed right behind you right there. And I had 3 of them last night, and they're spectacular, man. I'm not blowing smoke.
Cheers, man. Thank you so much. That's very kind.
We can go.
Welcome, Evan. Cheers, man.
Yeah,
Cheers,
we
man.
can talk about what
Cheers,
we had,
guys.
what I had last night later, but I'm going to open. This is the Triple D's.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Cool.
It's a
This
Belgian
is good.
triple.
So
What do you got?
awesome.
Michael?
I want to be part of this. That's good. So you're doing the triple, and Evan, I was already doing La Fin du Monde,
Oh, classic. I love it.
a separate Belgian triple, but I have a couple of yours on hand here.
Nice.
And I'm really glad how that worked out because I actually picked the Hazy Days and Crazy Nights,
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Very
the
cool.
IPA. So I'm gonna pour one of those. And I haven't tried. Bruce has tried your beers. I haven't tried them yet. So I'm really excited.
I mean,
he was
you
raving to me. I got a text
Yeah.
from him last night. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, these beers are legit. This guy's good. Like, this is
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah,
This is-
Evan would bring out beers and give some to Ricky and myself, and he'd brew some different things. And around the holiday time, you'd have some other little bits. And he's a super talented brewer, and it's always fun to taste his wares.
Yeah,
Thank you
and
much.
you always hope there's someone who's really cool and you respect them for what they do in every other facet of their life, and they make beer at home. You go like, God, I want it to be good. And I have to say, from my experience, most of the time I'd rather just kind of go and buy something from the store. But I want to support, but it's not easy, obviously, to brew a good beer at home or anywhere.
Oh.
No, not at all. It's especially being on the road. For us, it requires so much time and attention to details. It's not just a lot of people think it's like brewing a cup of coffee. It's not. It takes months, sometimes years, for a beer to come into fruition. And being on the road and trying to have that delicate balance between work life and this hobby,
Yeah,
it's
Wow.
very difficult.
Wow, man. Hey, can you just quickly walk us through just the space that you're in?
Sure. So this is my garage, as if you didn't know already. But what we have is I have a very generous wife who's let me convert most of the garage into a brewery. And behind me is the brew house, which is a 3-vessel system. I make approximately 12-gallon batches. Really was inspired when I started by Sam Calagione of Dogfish Head.
Oh yeah.
I read his book and I got really into it at the beginning,
Nice.
and I kind of wanted to
Nice.
model it on him. So here we have the brew house, which is 3 vessels. Middle is my mash, where you're going to make the tea, if you will, steeping the grains and such. So my right is the tank that holds hot water and also maintains the mash temperatures through wort recirculation. And then the next one closest to the control panel is our boil kettle, where we add our hops and other adjuncts or flavors, depending on which beer we're doing. And then we do our whirlpool in there before it goes over to fermenter world, which you guys might not be able to see right there.
Yeah, let's check that
We
out.
Oh
have-
yeah.
So all the fermenter world's over on the other wall. And
Awesome.
again, everything's made out of half barrel kegs. So, 15-gallon capacity. We run at 12. And then we have our canning line also. Our canning line and bottling line is over there. We do have a couple barrels that we do some product in. And then after that, it all comes behind me to the beloved kegerator, which features a bunch of old microphones from our live show that have
Oh.
otherwise broken as tap handles.
How many
Okay,
of those?
so-
How many of those did Todd smash with his drumsticks? Most of them. Right?
Any of the Onyx mics are fatalities of Todd's drum kit. So.
Yeah, man.
Well, Bruce. So Evan lives, you said 3-5 miles away from you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right down the street.
So after this whole lockdown's over, you guys got to hang.
Yeah, yeah,
'Cause
well,
that's so cool.
We'll
That
have
is
to
so cool.
do a collaboration brew or something like that.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So Todd is not a huge beer drinker, but he's been able to. You do lay on him some of your brews. Yeah.
I'll just say I had a little mishap recently, and I will say, Michael, that the fin du monde was definitely part of the situation that I had. So be careful.
Yeah.
Well, it is clocking in at 9%, gentlemen.
Yeah. It's a proper case example of the style, and it much like our friend Rick Allen from Def Leppard said a story once about Tank 7 from Boulevard Brewing. He's like, "What's your Tank 7 story?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And he's like, "No, everybody's got a Tank 7 story, mate." And I was like, "What?" And it's true. Fan du monde's the same way. Everybody's got a story about that beer and something that happens correlating to it. So.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
It
But
sent, me
I'm
to,
really.
it sent me to the podiatrist.
And not for a broken ankle.
Oh my God.
That's so good.
But no, I mean, Todd's not. I mean, Todd likes a good gin cocktail, so sort of his love for gin, and I also appreciate it too, is kind of the influence I put into the that saison I gave you guys, which is the rosemary and juniper berry saison. Sort of, kind of that's like a little bit of a backbone in there.
Yeah,
I've got that on deck. Right
Michael,
here.
that's gonna blow your mind. It's
I'm so psyched. I'm psyched.
The first sip is like, WTF, and then thereafter it's just like, wow, it's lovely. It's great. Really great
So
stuff.
psyched, man. I have to say, I'm really digging the IPA.
Cool, man.
What was it? Yeah, like you said, a balance. It's got the bitter. It's got the West Coast hop thing, but then the hazy, fruity East Coast thing. It's a hybrid of the two. That's how you envision it, right? A hybrid of the two things.
For sure. Being from New England, I was there at a point before the New England IPA existed. Like, there was no such thing as Heady Topper yet. And it sort of blew up, I'd say, in the last 10 years, that whole hazy IPA thing. And it's cool and all, and I just don't like to be a slave to beer trends, but as a brewer, you kind of have to brew things people want to drink. So I've been trying to figure out how to give it an identity that's just not another one of those, and still maintain a little bit of the West Coast vibe, considering we're making it with LA water, all that stuff. So.
Right.
Yeah. Man.
Well, it's pretty funny. This is one of the few shows where you can be the drummer of the classic rock band Styx and be momentarily upstaged by a guy who brews beer in his garage, because that's
one of the best things you could do is go out with Evan to a local brew place. We went to where in Canada was that last one? A beautiful town in BC.
Oh yeah. Gosh, I got to remember the name. It'll come to me. We were in Penticton, Alberta.
That's it.
And
we've been there.
We've been there.
So
we play all the same places.
British Columbia.
Yeah, we went out. I remember we crushed some oysters and some good seafood for lunch, and then we're like, "Oh, I want to go check out a brewery." And then this place was kind of closed, and they just let us come in and let us hang out in the brew house and gave us a bunch of beers to try.
But Evan's chin wagging with these guys on like the highest level of stuff, and I'm just like.
Yeah. I'll have another one, please.
Taste this? Sure, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're great. And then you end up like getting those dudes tickets to the show, and
they had a blast too. They were like, "Oh my God, this never happens,"
Yeah, I mean, it's safe. I mean, you guys already would concur that rock and roll and beer, not just booze, but like rock and roll beer is a pretty good fit.
It really is, and like I was saying last night, it doesn't matter who you are. You could be Prince, or you could be me, or anybody. Beer speaks to most people unless they don't like beer. I mean, anyone who is an enthusiast, it doesn't have a class divide. You know what I mean? It's for everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
So listen, we could probably do. I mean, I'm gonna have my own private Zoom session with Evan just to grill him. But can I ask you? So what I'm drinking the triple that you made.
Sure.
You brewed this back. This was brewed on January 1st. So.
I've got my notes right here, just
because
man. I thought you might
too.
ask.
I printed mine as well.
Yeah, this was my New Year's Day brew. I did 2 batches of beer that day, and I don't remember what the other one was, actually. But this was kind of like the highlight of that day. I'd never made a triple before, and a friend of mine came over, and we just grilled and ate food and brewed all day long. And it's pretty much a 70% Belgian Pilsner malt. A little bit of Munich malt in there for some color, and a little bit of the malty grossness. and then Belgian candy sugar to get that gravity up nice and high. And I had mentioned that I did more classic varietals of hops. So this features Hallertauer, East Kent Goldings, and Czech Saaz in it. And balanced out pretty decent. This fermented, by standards, I'd say it still might be a little young even right now. I've got a keg just chilling in the fridge that I'm planning not to touch until the fall winter. So
wow.
So this is it's a tastefully sweet beer. How attenuated is it? I mean, is there still a lot of residual sugars left over? Because
I didn't intend that to be the case. I thought that having the candy sugar in there might dry it out a little bit. So it's sort of, in my perspective, it's flawed, but it's still it's like a Bob Ross happy mistake, you know? It tastes good. I mean, I've used it to marinate chicken. You know, I marinated some chicken in it and put it on the grill the next day, and it was awesome.
I would never do that because I don't have enough. If you give me more of them, I might do that. But until then,
you could probably arrange that. You could probably arrange that. Yeah.
So how do people find you if they want to say, man, I want you to brew me a batch, and I want you, how do people find you?
So you can find me on Instagram. That's my only chosen form of social media, at Backstage Beer Co, all one word. I can sum it up in three things. It's concert photos from our shows, mostly from Monitor World. It's beers we have on the roads, beers I brew, and it's my bulldog. So if you're into those things, it's for you.
And I don't know if we totally spelled this out in a really clear way, but Evan is the monitor engineer for Styx, and you've been doing that for how long?
I started almost exactly 10 years ago. I started in April of 2010, and I think my third show was our rehearsals with Foreigner. It was Foreigner, Styx, in Kansas, I believe.
Wow,
that's right. I was just thinking about that when I met you, Todd. 2010. Yep. God,
so it's hard to believe
10 years
it was
ago.
A decade, right? Definitely want to give you mad props on your album release, and
I'm so psyched to check it out.
Can't wait.
I have not listened to it yet because I'm about to go on a small road trip, and I'm saving it for while I'm driving. So
yeah,
Todd Sucherman.
Most people use it as a coaster. They just set their drink on it, and they'll never listen to it.
Well,
so check it out.
Last flight home couldn't have been timed more well. It's like, I didn't actually want it to be my last flight home on March 11th.
Right. Wow.
We were in the same boat. We flew back March 13th.
Yeah.
You guys were March 11th, so we were on the same. Yeah, that is weirdly, strangely apropos right now. Last flight home. Wow.
I envision. Evan and I have long talked about this liqueur called Malort.
We know it very well because Dax Nielsen is our friend, so he's obviously he's gonna.
We were just talking about that the other night. Right?
Have you had it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've had it.
Oh yeah.
And
I don't know if I have.
With Dax,
that I remember.
Michael,
you would know it.
No, Michael, you have. I know you have, and I'll remind you when later. Yeah. Go ahead, Todd. So what about it?
I envision, there's a cure, something is over, we're back out on the road, and Evan and I are going to hug, embrace, and cry, and we're going to finally pound a bottle of Malort, and then we're going to throwing up and crying and hugging to celebrate that we're back to work.
I cannot wait for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I'll take your vomit 7 days a week, man.
After 3 shots of Malort, I might feel like his vomit will taste better.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, Malort, just, if you want to know about Chicago culture, Illinois culture, that's all you got to say. Just look it up. Malort. It's
Was that night in the limo?
Correct. That night.
Yes. Okay. All right.
No, that's another
Took me a
episode.
second.
Yeah.
Took me a second.
One of the unofficial slogans for Malort is, Malort, tonight's the night you fight your dad.
I can see that. You fight your dad. Finally. That's good, man. Oh, shit.
You know what? I think that's right there. That's a good. Let's end it there. We can't top that.
Yeah.
Wait,
Malort, tonight's the night you fight your dad.
Malort, when you want to unfriend someone in person.
Oh, that. Todd Sucherman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you
Evan.
for having me, guys. Stay
Yeah,
safe.
man.
Evan McElhinney.
Cheers, guys.
Did I say that right?
Cheers, man.
Yes, sir, you did. Thank you so much.
Cheers.